You had friends who told you it was bad. You had your own voice, in your own head, telling you it was bad. You had the evidence in your messages and your memories and the way your stomach dropped every time their name appeared on your phone. Not because you were weak, not because you were naive, not because you didn't know better. You stayed because of something that happened in a laboratory in the 1950s when a psychologist named B.F. Skinner put a rat in a box with a lever, and what he found explains why millions of intelligent, capable adults cannot leave someone who treats them badly, even when they desperately want to. It's not love, it's not loyalty, it's not Stockholm Syndrome or low self-esteem or any of the other easy explanations people reach for when they're trying to understand why someone stays in a relationship that's clearly hurting them. It's intermittent reinforcement, and once you understand the mechanism, the actual neurological mechanism, you'll stop blaming yourself, and you'll understand exactly what was done to you. Skinner's experiment was deceptively simple. He placed rats in a box with a lever. Press the lever, get a food pellet. He wanted to understand how reward schedules affected behavior. What he found changed the field of behavioral psychology permanently. When the lever delivered a pellet every single time, predictable, consistent reward, the rats pressed the lever when they were hungry. That was it. They used the lever as a tool. When they weren't hungry, they ignored it. The behavior was rational and proportionate. Then Skinner changed the schedule. He made the reward intermittent. Sometimes the lever worked, sometimes it didn't. The interval was unpredictable. They pressed the lever compulsively, rapidly, repeatedly, far more than they had when the reward was guaranteed. They pressed it when they weren't hungry. They pressed it when exhausted. They pressed it past the point of any logical cost-benefit analysis. The uncertainty didn't reduce the behavior. The uncertainty drove the behavior. This is called a variable ratio reinforcement schedule, and it produces the most resistant, compulsive, hardest to extinguish behavior ever documented in experimental psychology. It is also the precise psychological mechanism underlying slot machine addiction, social media engagement loops, and, deliberately or not, the dynamic inside every chronically hot and cold relationship you have ever been in or witnessed. In a toxic relationship, you are the rat, they are the lever, and the reward is not a food pellet. The reward is warmth, affection, attention, connection, all the things that a healthy relationship delivers consistently, but that a toxic relationship delivers on an unpredictable, irregular, maddening schedule that your nervous system cannot stop responding to. Every intermittent reinforcement dynamic has a recognizable cycle. If you've lived this pattern, you will know each phase by feel. Phase 1. The high. This is when the lever works. They're warm, they're present, they're the person you fell in love with, or fell in love with the idea of. The version of them that exists in this phase is the reason you stayed through everything else. They are capable of this. You've seen it. You know it's real. The high is not imaginary. This is critical. The high is not imaginary. The warmth is real, at least in its effect on you. The laughter is real. The connection feels real. That's what makes what comes next so destabilizing. You are not confused because you're foolish. You're confused because the evidence is genuinely contradictory. Phase 2. The drift. The warmth cools. Not dramatically, not all at once. It fades. They become distracted, critical, subtly cold. They're technically present but emotionally unavailable. You feel yourself instinctively performing, trying to get back to phase 1. You monitor their mood, you soften your behavior, you wonder what you did wrong. Phase 3. the rupture. Something breaks. They say something cutting. They disappear for days. They explode over something small. They become someone you don't recognize, or someone you've learned to dread. This is not the person from Phase 1. You hold Phase 1 in your mind like evidence, like a promise, like proof that the rupture isn't permanent. Phase 4. The resolution. They come back. They apologize, or they act as though nothing happened, or they deploy charm so convincingly that both of you tacitly agree to return to Phase 1. The lever worked again. The pellet arrived. Your nervous system exhales. The psychologically devastating truth about this cycle is that it is more bonding than consistent love. Every resolution feels like a rescue. Every warm phase feels earned. The contrast between phases amplifies each one. The good feels better because of how bad the bad was. You are not confused about whether this is healthy. You know, but your nervous system responds to the intermittent high the same way the rat responds to the lever. You cannot simply decide to stop. What makes intermittent reinforcement so neurologically sticky is not just psychological, it's chemical. Consistent reward produces serotonin, calm satisfaction, baseline contentment. Serotonin feels like, this is fine, this is good, this is enough. Intermittent reward produces dopamine, and dopamine is not a reward chemical. It is an anticipation chemical. Dopamine spikes not when you receive the reward, but when you are seeking it, when you are in the uncertain, hungry, almost there state that precedes it. The variable ratio schedule, the unpredictable lever, keeps your dopamine system in a state of sustained, elevated activation. Your brain is lit up not because you received something good, but because you might. The possibility is enough, and because the reward is unpredictable, your brain never gets to downregulate that activation. It can't say, the next pellet will arrive in exactly 4 minutes. It stays aroused, scanning, anticipating, waiting. This is why the hot-cold partner becomes the most compelling thing in your life. It's not that they're special or magnetic or irreplaceable. It's that they have, whether they know it or not, activated the most primitive, powerful reinforcement circuitry in your brain and attached it to themselves. And it's why leaving is not simply a decision. Leaving means withdrawing from a neurological dependency while the source of that dependency is still accessible, still occasionally dispensing the reward, still technically present, and still capable of the high. The most addictive substances are not the ones that make you feel good. They're the ones that make you feel the relief from the craving they created. Intermittent reinforcement works the same way. The relationship doesn't have to be good. It only has to be unpredictable enough to keep the dopamine loop running. Some people run intermittent reinforcement schedules because they themselves are emotionally dysregulated, not because they are executing a calculated manipulation strategy. They are cold when they are dysregulated, warm when they are stable, and the cycle follows their internal weather, not any plan. But some people use intermittent reinforcement deliberately, and the tells are worth knowing. The deliberate version involves a person who understands, consciously or intuitively, that unpredictability creates dependency. They've learned through experience that the partner they hold at arm's length is more devoted than the one they fully embrace. They've noticed that after a period of coldness, the warmth they finally offer is received with disproportionate gratitude. They've observed that manufactured distance creates desire in a way that consistent presence never does. They withdraw affection at moments of your maximum security, when things have been good, when you've expressed contentment, when the relationship feels stable. The withdrawal is not triggered by conflict. It follows closeness. They deliver warmth at moments of your maximum threat, when you've pulled back, when you've expressed frustration, when you've visibly started to disengage. The warmth arrives with surgical timing. It reactivates the cycle precisely when it's about to collapse.